Hey guys, and welcome to SuperSoul Boulder. I'm Dr. Laura Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy in Boulder, Colorado, and welcome to SuperSoul Boulder, where we talk about everything mind, body, heart, health, and wellness, right? Not just about the body, which I've been fortunate and interested in studying for such a long time, but also the mind, how that impacts things, and your heart. What is it you're inspired by? What is it you love to do and think about and be? So hi Dan, hi Carlos, great to see you guys. And our question for tonight, thanks for your patience by the way. If you're not here in Boulder, Colorado, it is snowing up a storm out there. And yesterday it was blue skies, sunshine. I mean, it was chilly because it is November, but today it's been snowing all day. So by the time I left the clinic, it was like a lot to uncover the car with. So, but welcome to my home. So tonight's question is how well do you endure, right? And we're talking about endurance. So how well do you endure in your physical pursuits, your life pursuits, or just the things that are going on? There's so much happening right now, right? This year alone, as it comes toward the end of the year, but it's amazing to look at everything we've been enduring, right? All the change, everything. And that's okay. And everyone's got their different parts and ways that happens, just like always. But now we just happen to have a lot of collective intensity that's ongoing. And so how do we endure that? And as you guys know, the physical body is a great example of how we endure these things in life too, or how we look at these things in life. So the word endurance sounds to me like durability, right? It has that great root in it, like dura or durability. So does it mean being durable and being able to endure might mean being durable to these challenges that come our way. Now we might think of that first like being strong and being kind of, my old self might have thought, yes, fighting through, pushing through, let's be hard and resistant. And hey Daniel, glad you can make it. And I want to challenge us, if you haven't already, to think of it differently. So maybe it's not so much a matter of being harder and resistant, but something else. But it's interesting to think of that root of durability or dura when we think of endurance, right? Even the skull or the brain has a dura mater, which is some of the hardest, most protective part of it. So there's a protection element if we think of endurance, like withstanding, right? But for my runners out there, or my endurance athletes out there, hi Jerry, hey. This is something that I've done for a long time, but not really necessarily put a lot of thought into. What does endurance mean, right? Maybe durability. Hi Nancy, great to see you. I love your pictures on Mount Sanitas not too long ago. So durability, so it may mean durable, it may mean protective, it may mean able to endure or withstand for a long period of time. So those are the things that popped into my mind. Feel free to comment or jump in if you're having other thoughts or insights as far as this goes. And as an endurance athlete for a long time, it kind of feels like being able to do something for a long time. Being able to withstand the challenge, being able to withstand the pain or discomfort and keep with it, right? So I think always in our lives, we're being asked to withstand or stick with it. And right now, if you're going through, I could say this anytime, but right now, and particularly this year, there's a lot of struggles and a lot of things to deal with. And not that that's not always happening, but like how well are we withstanding what's going on in our lives, the different lives, different things going on, different pressures, different feelings, right? And that can be done in a couple different ways. Dave, hey. The other thing I want to mention though about endurance is I loved Carlos Pa. You mentioned some. Yes, Nancy says pacing yourself. Oh, that's such a good point. Pacing yourself is an important element in being able to continue, right? So if we rush off and take it out hard at the beginning of whatever it is you're doing, you might not have that stamina to continue. Some part of me wants to go back to just, or at least mention base work helps us have a framework or an ability or a bottom of the pyramid ability to have endurance to begin with. So building in the world of exercise, let's go there. So the world of exercise science or physiology, aerobic, training your body aerobically, meaning with oxygen, provides this base level of fitness and adaptation cellularly, your mitochondria, your capillary density, that allows you to handle oxygen more efficiently. And this makes me wonder what in our lives, when we're handling mental challenges or emotional challenges or work challenges, what allows us to make the adaptations that maybe aren't cellular, or maybe it's brain wiring, or how it all fits together, that allows us to have a stamina, to have an endurance, to carry on, to persist, to endure, to have durability, to have protectiveness about us. But it doesn't have to be a hard protectiveness like the dura of the skull or the dura mater of the brain, which is a thicker covering. It can be a more permeable one. And I actually think, because I've thought about this a lot and looked at it, studied it, but we can think of being strong like being hard, like in our muscles, hard and rigid. But I would caution us to be too rigid, because if we're too rigid or stiff, say in our plans or in that pacing, we may not be able to read what our bodies actually need in order to withstand, in order to adjust in real time, in order to adjust to the new stimuli that are coming into our lives and our brains and our bodies all the time, every day, right? So there's always a new stimulus, unexpected oftentimes, surprising. I guess that's the same thing. Yeah, Carlos is all about the base. Yes, it is all about the base. You know, with your cross-country girls, it is. And so one thing, as you're saying, as you said that, and I'll kind of switch back to this, but that base training, that aerobic base. Here's an example. This week I've been starting to add. So I've been kind of experimenting with adding training stimulus. So starting with aerobic base and adding some hill and plyometric training for strength and flexibility, and then adding anaerobic training. Carlos, you mentioned this earlier in a comment. It was great because it's like, as we add stimuli, what is it that allows us to handle that new stimuli? What are the things that you do that allow you to have this base level of maybe calmness or confidence in yourself? What is it you can return to in yourself that allows you to carry on and carry forth? Because that aerobic base really allows you to hold up those other stimuli, because it is what allows for more, those adaptations allow you to handle those stimuli even better when you add them. And if you add too much of something at once, then it gets you might, overtrain or get injured or all those things. So in our lives, if we add too many stimuli at once, it can feel jarring, right? Maybe some of you have been feeling this way recently with everything going on. Not to mention the normal stresses of life or in your body or training or whatever you're doing that you want to keep going and maintain and move forward with. But those adding more stimuli, mental, emotional, goal-oriented, lifestyle, work, all those things, they do add up and accumulate. I used to make the mistake of separate, not kind of unconsciously, but kind of separating those out and not remembering that, I'm marathon training, and I'm also like in a doctoral program, and I'm also working as a personal trainer on the side, and I'm running around commuting every place. So, it's like it all adds up together and has an impact both physically or physiologically, mentally and emotionally. And it's important just to recognize that and have the awareness that all those things, accumulate and impact and come together. And then what is it you could come back to? Oh, I am skipping around. What is it you could come back to forgive me, it is Monday. What is it you can come back to help yourself continue to carry on, It could be all sorts of things, but that's kind of a question that's coming up in my mind. And then, so last week, so I was adding stimuli, able to start some anaerobic training, which I hadn't done for a while. I was just practicing this kind of periodic adding stimuli, different stimuli training wise as a runner in running. And last week I just felt exhausted. You know, I didn't have a good reason, like one reason, but I think it was all this accumulated, you know, a lot of tension going on everywhere, those sorts of things, more work, more patience, which is great, and a little more training. And so, you know, I didn't stop running, but I did dial it back, and I just went back to that aerobic base, that base of that pyramid, the foundation. How can you go back to your health habits, your base? Maybe it's as simple as, okay, I'm drinking more water, I need to hydrate more. I'm feeling the change of the season, or other fears going on, and maybe there are just certain things you can do to come back to. Simple habits, right? Habit forming. Maybe it's, you know, coming back to certain foods that you know are healthy. Maybe it's something you really enjoy that helps you bring your mind and body back together, yoga or meditation. In my humble experience, a lot of those practices are very helpful to come back to. And for some of us who really enjoy movement and are drawn to movement, that's how I always have been. Something that came to this might be a topic for another night too, but the body needs movement, the movement is good for the body, while stillness is good for the mind. And so when you feel frantic, and maybe when you feel the pull to continue to move or add on or add more to the plate, maybe that's the time to take something off. Maybe that's the time to be more still and more settled. Because, you know, water, when it's moving, is hard to see. It's not as clear. But when it's very still, it can be more clear. You can see beneath it. Our minds are like that too, right? It's really hard to see what's going on when there's so much noise and so much swirling around. So what can you do to create more stillness during those moments of frantic, noisy times? And what can you do to recognize how that might be pulling you away from yourself rather than staying within your center of yourself? So being in your center is very helpful, very healing, very much a way to endure, the way to have more endurance. I know it may not sound like what you might expect a movement specialist or physical therapist to talk about, because we might talk about endurance and getting those adaptations cellularly, and that's important. But what about these other times? What about when the movement's so much, or the water's moving so fast, or the noise is everywhere? How can you return to where it's still, to where it's more calm, to where you can see more clearly? And sometimes it just takes some time and some stillness so you can become aware of what's going on. And you know, the thing is, once you hone that skill of being more still, more centered, more aware, whatever words you want to use is totally fine. But the cool thing is you can carry that with you as you move. You can carry that center, that stillness with you while you run. You can carry that with you while you skate, or while you hike in the snow, or while you paddle, whatever it is. And actually things work better. Your performance can be better. Your endurance can be better. There's less of the stress and the noise adding to the picture, right? Adding to the, what did I say on the post, the stress pile. So we don't want to add stress and resistance or tension to the stress pile. Sometimes reaching for goals, sometimes pushing through, sometimes maybe that's okay, but sometimes it's actually adding stress and pressure to what's already there. And it doesn't allow us time or space to listen to what your body is actually saying and telling you, and what it actually needs. And I've seen a lot of patients this week. In fact, just tonight I was talking to one who was saying, you know, the gym was closed and I just started going back because I really am feeling weaker and I want to strengthen. And we were just talking about giving yourself the permission to have those goals, improve your health, but in those little habits, right? Those daily habits, rather than the pressure to be where you were, or for the wrong reason. Like, why do you want that for aesthetic purposes, for for not losing something? Or is it really to be in the best health you can be? And is it really to be in the healthiest way you can be so that you can be the best you can be in the world for others or for the purpose you serve? So why is it that you want to be able to do those things and improve your health? There are a lot of good reasons, and sometimes our minds can kind of trick us a little bit, and we think it's all for good. It's all for good reasons, not good or bad, but just it takes the stillness to find the depth of those reasons. And when you access the depth of your reasons, the depth of why you want to do things, then there's more endurance under that, right? There's more of a base. There's more of a base of a pyramid. There's more of a foundation for why you're doing that, for sticking with, for an intrinsic motivation, for protecting yourself from the noise of the world, for being durable to the things that pull you around. And then you can be still, or you can be moving, or you can run up mountains, or you can have dinner with your family from that place of being more durable, more still. And you know how I like to, if you guys know me, I like to turn words on their heads, right? We all tend to think of certain words and that we know what they mean because we've heard them and we just already know. But it's really helpful to really consider, what is that? What is that endurance in all the ways that it could mean? And so I always really like going there. Let me see what you said, Carlos. I love the word harmony. Harmony and balance. Keep the stimuli adaptations. Yes. So as we add stimuli, more and more stimuli to the plate, right? To ourselves, that could be in a training matter. Maybe it's aerobic capacity, then anaerobic ability to withstand anaerobic or lactic acid, right? Be able to handle that. Or maybe it's skill in a sport, or maybe it's none of those things and you're just trying to get by in life, or be motivated, or try to start something, start an exercise program, all those things. As we add stimuli, let's just one thing that's coming to my mind is let's consider adding one stimuli as far as training and exercise goes, and hold that habit steady. Hold that habit steady for a little while, before maybe 3 or 4 weeks before you add another stimuli. And then it's a cycle. It's not linear, right? Like I've been running a really, really long time, and my mind could easily go, oh, I've done these things. I could go right back to them. I've done a track workout. I've done this, but it's been really fascinating and wonderful to just start with that aerobic base and then add one stimuli and add one stimuli, and then let myself respond to see how my body's responding. And we can do the same thing in life. The hard thing is, right, we probably feel as though stimuli is added to us rather than our choosing it. So, but is that true? Are we taking it on? Are there some stimuli that we can maybe not take on, or at least not right now, and just add back and see how it goes and be response regulated and feeling based, and find out how you're withstanding that new stimuli, how you're enduring that. And if I do believe this is to be true, you can certainly question it or ask questions, whatever that looks like. But and now I'm losing my train of thought as I said that. but as we try our best, do our best to maybe reduce the number of stimuli coming on at a time, we're more able to read what's happening in our bodies, more able to adapt as we need to, more able to see what's actually serving us well and what might not be. Or maybe there's a more creative, different way altogether that we could attempt to do that, whatever that might be. And so I was thinking of a patient I saw earlier today who's only 16, and she had not the coronavirus, but a different virus right around the time that this all started. And it became very weak because it seems there was a neurological I think just an inflammatory response, which can really reduce neurological function to muscles, and it can create weakness in and of itself. It was confirmed by my evaluation today. So I'm really excited for her because I think she's going to start getting some relief and some progress where she wasn't feeling that way. But it was such an endurance. It's such an endurance event for her to struggle with this at such a young age, and with all the emotional stuff that came with it. Her motivation was gone, but she loves her team and her all the things that have come from that. Her school, her best friend, her boyfriend, all these things. And so sometimes it's just hard, right? Sometimes it's just enduring, but we have to also sit with those wins, those small wins that allow us to kind of pull out of that. She found this art class that was actually kind of helped her find motivation again, even as she moved forward back into skating. And isn't that amazing? Sometimes the endurance comes on its own. Sometimes unexpected things come in, and if we're not careful, if we're not careful or thinking of looking at them, we might miss it altogether and not realize the importance of this person or this event or this thing we didn't know we liked or were maybe passionate about. And that's important to recognize and acknowledge and realize, oh, that was something that was really helping. Maybe we need to continue with some art projects or some direction in that way so that she can continue to work that creative place in her, and it may feed over into other areas. And I am a strong believer too, from personal experience, and seen a lot of people, that injuries can be blessings in disguise, as in sometimes when you're unfortunately forced to pull back in what you've been so focused on for so long, it opens you up to all these other areas that you are, because, right, you're a well-rounded, multifaceted human being, not just one thing, not just a skater or not just a runner and not just a, son or daughter or a father or a sister, all these things. And so, but what if a better way to endure, rather than having, a big setback, especially the ones that are controllable. In her case, it was a lot less controllable. But in a lot of cases that I see, those injuries are a result of we're pushing through and kind of wanting to just keep at it and not listening to the body. So if you listen to your body and pull back before you find yourself with injury or illness, and do some things that your body is really asking of you. If we get more tuned to your body, that is such a great way to prevent a lot of those issues from happening. Not all of them. And then we must find the endurance when we can't prevent them to handle what comes, because our bodies are vulnerable to this world. Doug, great to see you. Our bodies are vulnerable to this world. So there are going to be illnesses, there are going to be injuries. Some of them are preventable. We can do our best, especially if we're listening to our body and not just pushing through something that makes it a bit worse. And when we have something unexpected that we can't control, or maybe we, missed the mark in that way, which is fine, we're going to do that. We can endure mentally and emotionally in a new and more mature way than we might have if we were just pushing through and just resisting. Now, there are going to be, right, just like the later in a race, Elaine, hey, later in a race or an event or something, anything hard that you're enduring, there might come a time where you're just, it's hard, and you've just got to keep going and take one step in front of the other. And that's another way we might endure. And so it's not all the same. Nobody is the same. We all have our different issues and histories and upbringings and body limitations and mental limitations, all the things. And so the real work is in knowing yours for you and trusting that, honing that and not listening too much to the noisy world around you that can easily take you away from that center place and you knowing yourself. So in my humble opinion, those are some ways that you might endure, both physically, emotionally, mentally, and always in this crazy life we're blessed to live. So my invitation to you for this week, you wonderful, amazing people who are joining me tonight and after, if you listen in, is to consider how well you endure. What is your endurance like? Both physically in your body and in your life. What are the things that help you with that? And what maybe can you come back to? Usually a simpler thing. It's usually a leaning back into yourself rather than, forcing outward to do more or add more or go faster or push through. Those things are like distortions of, right? It's like kind of our culture really supports doing more and adding more. But doesn't it kind of just distract from your ability to see the right next step in front of you? Or the time when you need to pull back? It's not one way. It's just the right timing for you. So have a great week. Keep enduring all the things that you are with the utmost of grace and humility and ease, right? Ease and efficiency. Because the best endurance athletes hone their ability to be efficient and be able to do what they do, say run at high levels or fast with efficiency. And not necessarily a pushing, striving nature, but rather allowing and letting everything work together. Thanks. Have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me here on SuperSoul Boulder every Monday night at 6 p.m. 8 Eastern. I'm Dr. Laura Johnson from Aerobic Physical Therapy. And thank you so much for joining me. I love having you here. I love talking about these deeper topics, body, mind, and heart, or otherwise. And hope to see you next Monday. Let me know what questions or comments you have. Let me know you're here by shooting me a like or heart or comment. And I would love to see you next week. Have a great week and keep enduring all the stresses and keep bringing yourself back to you. You're worth it. Good night. Take care.